Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Coach Ra, and today I want to talk to you about facing yourself. And this show is very important, so I really want you to kind of, absorb what's happening. But first off, I just want to, welcome you. Thank you for listening, or thank you for watching. If you're watching my video, please subscribe and share my content. I'm sure it's going to help somebody. And also, please leave a comment at the end. I love to hear what people have to say. It gives me an opportunity to focus in on what people actually want to know. Okay, so here we go, right? And so what I want to talk to you about is how to face yourself and why facing yourself is so important. Facing yourself. Facing yourself is all about dealing with your own weaknesses and dealing with your shortcomings, dealing with the things that cause you to not reach your fullest potential. And reaching your fullest potential is really what I believe life is all about, because it's all about you making progress every single day. And progress towards what? Progress towards you becoming your greatest version, the person who you were born to be. So the real challenge in life is to always fight to overcome your weaknesses. But sometimes where we have a tendency to get off track is when we compare ourselves to other people. When we start this process of trying to compete, and we lose focus. Not that we can't compete with others, or that we can't learn through competition with others, but that's a false reality, because the truth is that you really can't compete with anybody else. Other people have things, talents, skills, abilities, strengths, and weaknesses that make them uniquely qualified to do better at certain things. And the same thing applies to us. We have skills, talents, abilities, and qualities that make us uniquely qualified to do better or worse in certain things. So when you compare yourself to someone else, what you're actually doing is putting yourself in either a win or lose situation, just based off of what you naturally have and what you naturally have been working at versus what someone else has been working at, or what they have naturally. So if someone else naturally jumps higher than you, and you compete with them at jumping, they probably are likely going to win, because that's their natural ability. So what I do is I flip that. Instead of competing with other people, you want to compete with yourself. So if, let's say that you have a 40-inch vertical, and your ability, you want to jump higher, then your competition is to compete against your 40-inch vertical. You want to be able, if you're jumping 39, you want to be able to hit 40. And then once you hit 40, you want to keep competing with yourself. You don't want to look at someone else to start competing with other people. You want to compete again with yourself. Okay, now that I have a 40-inch vertical, how can I get a 40.5-inch vertical? Or how can I get a 41-inch vertical? And you keep competing with yourself, because you know all of your weaknesses. You want to attack your weaknesses, the things that prevent you from being your best self. And only you know what that really is. Most of us hide our weaknesses. We don't allow our weaknesses to be exposed, because the world is hard. It's tough out there. And some people feed off of other people's weaknesses, and we know that. So to prevent ourselves from being hurt by those people or situations in life where someone feeds off of our weaknesses, we kind of hide them, right? So facing yourself is all about identifying what your weaknesses are and then working to improve those weaknesses, especially the ones that you have an opportunity to improve, which is my way of saying, there are some things that we naturally likely won't be great at, but as humans, we have the ability to at least be proficient at everything. Like we won't necessarily be, you don't necessarily have to be the number one person, but you can at least be proficient at it. And then your strengths are the things that you have natural abilities for, you have talents for. Those are the things that you strive for greatness in. Like, if you're an artist and that's your thing, but because you're good with your hands, you can do a bunch of other things, but your main thing is art, then that's what you're going to be striving to be great at, while you're going to be working on your other abilities, the areas where you're not as strong. So here are some notes that I want you to take into consideration. I wrote some things down because I really want to make sure that I hit these points. They are really important. One note is face yourself. Face yourself all the time. Like always face yourself. When when you see the distraction getting ready to happen where you are confronting or facing someone else, remember to face yourself. Facing yourself is going to give you an opportunity to be real with yourself, which is my next thing. Be completely real with yourself. Be true and clear about what you are confronting. The true part is challenging yourself, evaluating, is this the truth? And if it's not the truth, then get at the truth. Getting at the truth, it might mean recording yourself, which is an excellent thing, because when you record yourself, you get a chance to actually see what the truth is, like based off of, sometimes when I'm at the gym, when I work out, well, not sometimes, all the time, really, I like to record myself so that I can get at the truth of my form and really see where my deficits are so I can work on those things. When you work on your deficits, that's how you make tremendous improvement, because you're being honest about, you're getting an honest picture of where you are, and you're getting very clear about it so you can make the needed adjustments. Sometimes in our minds, we will create a reality that's not true to what actually is taking place. And that can be problematic because you can be operating off of the image in your head, which may not necessarily be the image or the actual situation that you are doing in the material world. Okay. And then my last note for you is to take action. Once you get clear about what it is, I want you to take action. Take action means if you realize that you're off somewhere, then you want to take action at improving it. Now, the improving part does not have to be where it is perfect. Perfection is, it's a false word that we have to be very careful with. When people say perfect or excellent or anything like that, or even when someone believes that they have completely mastered something, you have to be careful with that, because time and change are constant, and there's no point in which you reach where you can say this is the absolute best that it could always be. And I know that to be true because as the years go by, somebody's going to come along and invent a better way. That's just the way it is. And some of us, we have a tendency to, we have a sense of entitlement when we reach a certain level, certain standard or quality of being or thinking or acting. And we get stuck in our mind, we get stuck in our ways, and we rest on that point. Like, this is the absolute best way that it could ever be done. And that's not true. Once again, someone is going to come along and improve upon what you think is the best way. And once they improve upon it, that sets a new standard. That means that what you thought was excellent is not really as excellent as you thought it was. It was excellent for the time that it was in, but it's not all time excellent. Okay. So here are some steps that I want to give you to actually begin the process of facing yourself. The first thing that you want to do is you want to create the life that you want to have. So when I say create the life, I want you to think about who you would be if you had confronted your weaknesses, if you have dealt with your truth. Dealing with your truth means getting at your weaknesses, the things that you know, only you know. Even if you win, say for example, you compete against someone else and you win in that event, you still know that if the person you're competing against knew exactly what your weaknesses are, you might not have won. But because you were able to compensate and make adjustments, you rendered your weaknesses ineffective enough for you to be victorious over the other person. But I'm talking about getting to the truth of the matter, which means if you have a weakness, really, truly being able to render your weakness as invalid if you were competing against yourself. If you were competing against someone who absolutely knew the way you know your weaknesses, could you overcome them? If you think about it, that's the hardest challenge in the world, right? So back to what I'm talking about, creating your life, you want to think about what your life would absolutely be if you were to overcome your weaknesses. Every single one of them, okay? So you start off with the weaknesses that are most important, the ones that are holding you back the most, you prioritize, and then you work your way down, right? The reason why you want to start off with the biggest ones is because the biggest ones are going to give you the biggest bang for your buck. It's going to, when you overcome a big weakness, it has a rippling effect over all of the other aspects of your life. So that's number one, create the life. The next thing that I want you to do is to design your life. The designing part is about you writing out, taking time to write out and draw and get a vision for what that life actually is, but you bringing it into reality. You're going to actually design it. And the reason why it's important for you to design it is because sometimes we get distracted and we get away from what we want our life to be. We don't create the routines that produce the lifestyle that we want to have. We don't actually improve our lives because we can't, there's nothing clear and concrete that is written down to compare ourselves against and say, yes, no, yes, and evaluate. So that designing part is all about evaluating where we are for our truth. Okay. And then the third step is to live your life. As funny as that may sound, sometimes we get to the point where we create, we know we have an idea of what we want. We design it. We might write it out. And, some people create these vision boards. It's a way of designing your life, getting a vision for what you want. But then we don't actually live the life. Every day you have to take your 24 hours and actually live out the way that you have designed your life. Live it out. And I know there's somebody out there because I know a bunch of people who design lives, but they don't actually live out their 24 for millions of reasons. Some people just, haven't planned out their day well enough to where they can actually hold themselves accountable. You got to hold yourself accountable for living your life. And if you haven't designed it well enough to where you can live it, then you should rethink it. Okay, so there you have it. Remember to face yourself. This is Coach Ra. I just wanted to say, please don't forget, share, subscribe, and leave your comment below. Until next time, live your life. Confront yourself.